Nigel here with the drive wire, and I have the 2022 Cadillac CT4 BLACKWing in all of its glory. Now this is the most powerful compact sports sedan that Cadillac has ever built. And sadly, it's also the last compact gas-powered sports sedan that they will ever build. Shed a tear for that. Here it is in all its glory. I think this will be a classic in time to come. So today I'm going to be reviewing this car and testing it to its limits, I hope, and having a lot of fun in the process. So the BLACKWing, its biggest rival is of course the BMW M3, which also actually comes in four-wheel drive, but this is a rear-wheel drive car with a twin turbo up front. We'll go into the details of what's under the hood in a few minutes. But first, let's take a look at what this car looks like. It looks very similar to the regular CT4-V. In fact, there are no BLACKWing badges anywhere on this vehicle. Kind of like the fact they haven't actually made it look super aggressive and so you look like a complete idiot driving it. It's quite subtle. They have tweaked the front grille, made a few changes, but all in all, it's pretty similar. Obviously, it's got real air vents at the front here to cool the brakes, but everything else is just fairly the same. Now you can make it look a little bit more aggressive. There's an aero pack. It's a carbon fiber aero pack that comes with an additional carbon fiber splitter right here and a big wing at the back, or a bigger wing at the back. The only downside to that is, and when I had an ATS-V, it had one of those on there, and it sits really low and you can damage it on curbs, which is exactly what I did, and they're like $1,500. The whole aero kit itself comes in around $4,300, so I don't know, this one doesn't have it on it. I'm sort of glad. So speaking of that aero kit, this is the standard rear wing here that it has on it. The other one sticks out about this much further. I think it might take away a little bit from the looks of this car, but it does apply about 189 pounds of downforce on the rear axle. To be honest, if you're driving on a road, I don't think it needs it. So these cars get the Cadillac MagneRide system. It's been tweaked, it's got more sensors on it. It can make changes on the fly even faster than it did before to keep this car as stable as possible in the turns, on the straights, etc. It comes wearing these very tasty 18-inch wheels. The fronts have 235/35s on them. They're Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, but they're bespoke to this car, so they have a compound from the Michelin Cup 2s in there, a third rubber compound to make them, I'm hoping, extra grippy. The Cup 2s are very grippy tires, so anyway, but good luck trying to get a hold of those when you need a spare pair. And then at the rear, because it's obviously rear-wheel drive only, it needs maximum grip. Wears these 275/35s, and you definitely need those. Taking a quick look around, you get a V badge on either side of the front. It's got these cool sort of little vents. And at the back, you get another little V badge here, but they're the only real telltale signs that this car has some power. Space in the back is pretty good. There is no spare tire on this car, and there's definitely room here for maybe a set or two of golf clubs, but who the hell wants to play golf when you've got one of these? So Cadillac offered me a choice when they gave me this car. They said, do you want the automatic transmission or do you want the 6-speed manual? And of course, I'm not an idiot. I chose the automatic. I'm kidding. I chose the 6-speed manual. Of course I chose the 6-speed manual because it's probably going to be one of the last ones that are available ever. Under the hood, you get the familiar twin turbo 6 that was in the ATS-V previously. They've given it 8 more horsepower, so now it has 472 horsepower and 445 foot-pounds of torque, driven through an 8-speed automatic transmission, or, obviously, as is my choice, the 6-speed manual. So in the back, not too much room, a little cramped. You can't get your feet under the seat, but it's not too bad. And the seats are actually pretty decently comfortable. Limited headroom, it's okay for me, but those folks that are taller are going to have a bit of a problem. But it's not bad. Obviously this one has the two-tone leather seats that look quite nice. Also your own vents, which you would expect, and then a couple of power outlets, one 12-volt and one USB-C. That's all you get. You do get an armrest with a couple of cup holders, and they're pretty decent quality in here. Nice sort of rubberized little grip in there as well. So not a bad place to be, but that's the seat you're going to want to be in. So now, let's do what we've been waiting for and take it for a drive. All right, so first impressions are that it is very smooth and very Cadillac comfortable. These seats are really supportive. They've got, as I said, full bolster support, power adjustment on the sides of the seat. Super comfortable lumbar massage if you want it. All right, so the engine pulls really well. It's very smooth. The steering is quite light. Controls are easy to use. The 6-speed stick is up there with one of the best I've driven. The only slightly tricky shift is between 5th and 6th. It wants to sort of come back into 4th, which is fine. You don't use 6th too often. So we're going up this hill in 6th right now, and it's pulling pretty well. Drop down to 5th, 4th. Yeah, this thing is pretty quick. Doesn't feel quite as sporty as I had expected. Suspension feels a little soft. Have to get into it a little bit more to find out. Definitely plenty of power from this twin turbo 6 though. Feels pretty nice. One thing that doesn't seem as good, and there was the biggest problem with the ATS-V, was not its sheer performance and outright speed and fun factor, was it didn't sound very good. And so far, this doesn't sound too good either. It doesn't quite have that fizz that I was expecting, that setting your pants on fire feeling that I thought Cadillac had promised. Gear shift is really good though. Clutch pedal, perfectly weighted. Wait a minute, I've forgotten something. On the steering wheel is a button that says V, and I didn't press it, so I'm going to press it right now. Now what that does is several things. It changes the dash layout to have a horizontal tachometer, speed in the middle. And then you will push this button right here for rev matching, so that you don't need to do heeling and towing. A little bit lazy, but whatever. And then it gives you certain information on the screen, you know, oil pressure, temperature, what kind of G's you're pulling. And then in the center screen, it maxes out in red maximum steering, suspension, engine, shift patterns, brake feel, and engine sound. And then it hunkers the suspension down, it makes it firmer. So let's see what that does. Wow. Wow. This car comes alive. And listen to that engine, it burbles on the overrun. Oh my God. Oh yeah, the rev match is awesome. Don't forget to push the V button like I did, because now I've pushed it, I'm grinning from ear to ear. So I must admit I have played around a little bit with V mode, and I adjusted the steering down one notch. I felt that in maxed out mode it didn't quite have the feel that I was looking for, so I sort of dialed it back a little bit into sport mode, and I think that's my sweet spot right there. So we should get a chance to pass a slower car here. Let's see. I'm choosing 3rd gear. That's a good flavor of gear to choose. 3 is good. Burbling along around 3,000 RPM. Kind of sunny today. Wow. This is good. This is very good. Cadillac, you have done a magnificent job with this car. Love the rev match too. Just takes away that sort of clunkiness that, you know, when you bodge up the gear change yourself. It's not snapshot acceleration fast. It'll do around 4.2 seconds to 60. You'd have to practice a lot to get that kind of launch. That's not what this car is really about. Because boy, is this thing phenomenal in these twisty roads. The chassis just wiggles a little, and I've got most of the traction control systems on for these public roads because, you know, we need to exercise a little bit of caution. On the track, you can turn them all off. Very impressed, Cadillac. Very well done. A little bit about the interior of the car. It's not quite up to what I would describe German standards, but I don't actually care. The wheel is really nice. You've got this red little piece here for track work, so you know which way up the steering wheel is. This one's pretty nicely appointed. Base price starts around 58,000. This one is 70. These very nice sort of black and tan leather seats with the massage feature, blah, blah, blah. That's going to cost you about $4,900 or so. That's a lot. But a base price of 58, that is the bargain of the century for a sports sedan with this kind of capability. Would I order it with a manual? I think I could live with this manual on a daily basis. It's so tractable. There's so much torque in this engine. The rest of it, the design is nice. The touchscreen is maybe a little bit too far away, but I'm nitpicking here. I've got physical volume and tune controls. HVAC, super easy to use. You've got some cup holders here. If you do have a cup right here, it does interfere with your gear changing, but you shouldn't really be having a cup in here if you got a manual anyway. And then there's a little bit of space and some power in there. Little holder for your key. Everything's in the right place. Memory seats are really good. It's got this sort of faux Alcantara roof, which is nice, and everything is just, you're nice and snug in these seats. So I'm really happy with what Cadillac has done here. They've done a really, really good job. All right, let's see what it sounds. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, rev it. Not too bad. It's got a soft limiter on it, so it'll probably be a lot better when it's on the move. And god damn, this thing is good in the turns. It's so good. My first car of 2022, and it's gonna be hard to beat this. It really, really is. I mean, you can just go balls out in this and it just grips into oblivion. The power down. Oh my god, it's a joy to drive. Maybe not in the wet, but thank goodness last week we had the storms. This week it's beautiful weather. Sunny and dry, and you can feel the car rotating around the bends and traction control systems kicking in and keeping you planted. Loving this 6-speed. Oh my god, it's so much better than the one in the ATS-V. That one's felt slightly rubbery. This one is sublime. Now, I think they're producing these in limited numbers. I'm not 100% sure, but it says here on the steering wheel 46 out of 130. Just go get one. I mean, rob a bank, do something. Buy some extra lottery tickets. This is the best driver's car Cadillac has ever built. Now, I do have got to schedule the CT5 with its 668 horsepower. That one's going to be insane, but it ain't going to handle like this one in the turns. I absolutely love this thing. Yeah, I don't think an M3 feels quite as good as this. Definitely an Audi. There isn't an Audi that feels this good either. Can't fault it. I haven't found anything that I don't like about it yet. Price, speed, ability. Well, I got 3 more days left in this car, and I'll be very, very sad when they come to pick it up. Maybe they'll forget that I have it. Maybe they'll tell me to keep it another 3 days or so. Please. I'm kind of wondering too, because, you know, sometimes I think about different engine stuff. I wonder if it would have been interesting to see that instead of using a twin turbo 6, they gave this a V8 instead. Something to think about. They didn't, so we can't really do anything about that now, but it's food for thought. All right, so what do we think? Well, this car is amazing, fantastic. It is probably one of the best driving cars I've driven for a long time, and I'll wait for the hate comments, but I will stick my neck out and say this is better than the M3. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, make any comments you like. We'll see you next time. Out.